Oh, live now. Facebook moved some things, folks. Yeah. I don't know what to say.
Sorry, guys. Sorry about the delayed start time. But nonetheless, we're happy to be here, and we're happy to have you guys enjoying this fantastic, warm, balmy evening with us.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
is freaking hot outside right now.
It is warm. I'm down here, like, sweating. Like, that's what's going on. That's good times.
I would say it's almost a little humid. Almost a dab of humidity as well.
So I struggle to say things are humid anymore because I lived in Louisiana for a year, and there is nothing that we have ever experienced that is ever like that. I didn't think people were telling the truth when they talked about it, and I don't know if you experienced this before, but I went to the hospital one time and walked out of the hospital, and it was so humid I felt like I needed to walk back into the hospital because I couldn't breathe.
Oh yeah. Living in Missouri, I get that. Southern Missouri, bro. It's hot it's like a warm blanket. But I've actually kind of started to miss that humidity a little bit. There's part of me that kind of likes it. In my older age, it's good for the bones, you know.
Yeah.
Good for the bones. Well, guys, this is Testing Normal episode number 98.
98.
Which is wild. We're almost to 100. We're almost to our centennial celebration of
word.
100.
What a big word.
It's a great word.
It is a
great
word. It makes me think of centaurs.
Ooh, which are also fascinating mythical beasts. One might call them mythical. Some might call them,
Mystical.
Testicle? I don't know. Whatever. I'm not sure. We could connect those dots, but so this week, of course, as always, exciting week, lots of fun, challenging things.
Things got wild.
Not all good things, not all good things, not all bad things. But one of the, I think some of the most important things we should probably touch on is, did anybody last night watch the Jake Paul versus Ben Askren fight, the boxing match?
No.
Did you hear about this? Did you hear about this?
No, you said there's a video I want to play.
Yeah. So put it at the 2 minute mark.
That's as far as we got. Okay. I'm going to pull it up.
It's my very first link. Guys, I'll just explain it to you. Ben Askren is a former
I'm gonna mute
not UFC champion. But yeah, you can click play at the 2 minute, and then we could put audio at the 2 minute mark. It won't get taken down.
This is the GOAT guy, right? The person I call the GOAT guy.
Yeah,
he's
maybe
the guy that got knocked out like in one smack.
Yes.
By,
in the UFC, he got knocked out by a flying knee to the head by Jorge Masvidal to the dome.
That was.
And
was that the shortest fight in the world?
Yeah, I think of the world record, the quickest knockout.
It's yes.
Anywho, this guy was supposed to be like a big, prolific wrestler, right? He was known for his wrestling. Boom, just gets knocked out. So we just showed a little clip of it. It's a pretty quick knockout. But there's controversy with the fight because
I'm gonna back it up again and put this to full.
Jake Paul, who is like a big YouTube star dude, challenged this guy Ben Askren, and Ben Askren is not known to have any boxing skills whatsoever, and he's way past his prime, like
so
wildly
it makes sense that he would do
prime.
this.
So it makes sense that he would do this because there was a big payday for him, right?
Ben has put on a little weight.
Oh, Ben looks incredibly out of shape. He looks like he has been eating all the potatoes.
He's got
all
full
the potato
dad
chips.
bod. That's what happened.
He's got a strong dad bod.
Yeah.
He's got a strong dad bod. So basically, the controversy is there's like it didn't look like he actually even tried to exercise for this. Not even jazzercise.
No,
We're not talking like not even buns and thighs, nothing, right? So he took a hit in the first round, right? Took a hit in the first round, knocked him down. The ref gave him didn't even really give him a good count, right?
Jake Paul is a douchey.
Amador, correct. Yes, he is correct. So
Ben is not the blonde guy. He is the poofy guy that looks like Tumnus from Narnia. That's that's what he looks like. He looks like Tumnus from Narnia. Always has. That's why I call him the GOAT guy. He looks like a goat.
Yeah.
That's sorry,
so,
Ben.
Anyways,
if you're listening to this,
he got knocked the frick out, hardcore. But the thing is when he stood up like right away, okay, and then the referee gave him an 8 count, and Ben was like, okay, yeah, I'm good to go. And then the ref says, nope, we're calling it. And Ben was like, what? Like, everybody like in the audience was like,
seriously.
yeah, he was like standing up. He's ready to go. He's ready to fight. And the ref's like, nope, we're calling it. So now there's controversy because there was like, people spent tons of money to watch this fight. And we think that there's a lot of rumors going on that the fight was rigged. Basically saying, hey,
So
Ben, you
I
go
have a
down in the first
question.
round.
Yeah, I'm going to put this up again. I paused it
Yeah.
at this spot, and I'm going to ask something. Just quick question.
Mm-hmm.
Is this guy? Can you see where my mouse is at?
Yeah,
This
the
looks
referee.
like the principal from Back to the Future. Is that who that is? And what
I
is he?
don't know.
What is he wearing? Did he just decide
It's a camera.
he's going to wear a GoPro? Like
I think they have him
You know what I call this? I
wear
call
a
this
camera.
the Go Bra.
Yeah.
That's what I call this. But when people wear
GoPro.
this, the Go
the
Bra.
GoPro. It should be a
GoPro or
GoPro.
GoBra, whichever,
GoPro.
which one is fine with me. But it looks like the principal from Back to the Future.
So,
Yeah.
anyways, that was kind of an interesting thing last night. It was like basically a lot of rumors floating around about these pro, or in this case former pro MMA fighter that was way past his prime, went against a YouTube star, right? And the YouTube star, this was the YouTube star's third professional fight, and he knocked him out
Professional
hard.
fight.
Right.
Let's-
So the people he's gone against, right? So the last guy he went up against was a NBA, a former NBA, like
What,
not
does he just
active,
go challenge
but
people that aren't into boxing?
retired. Yeah, that's it. He has not actually fought a professional boxer yet. Not in his weight, and that's the other thing. Like his weight class is like, 191, I think is what they fought at. So he would almost he'd be like light heavyweight basically, if he had fought somebody professional. So anyways, it's kind of like a scam. People were kind of pissed about that, but
Weird.
kind of funny too. So I don't know if anybody out there heard about Afghanistan, but Biden recently enforced but kind of changed the timeline for backing out or withdrawal of Afghanistan, and he set it for September 11th, right? Which would be a 20-year
This
anniversary.
is weird. It's like our live video just got like. Okay, never mind. It's back. I had something pop up for those of you now coming back. It popped up and said that we had like music or something on it that shouldn't be there.
Oh, weird.
That was really strange. Which we
weird.
didn't play any music. So
Crazy Facebook. But guys, so let me talk to this everybody out there. We are leaving Afghanistan, and I gotta say it's a little sentimental. I mean, it was my first war. It's my first war. It was kind of like my first kiss. My first beef tartare. Kind of a bittersweet kind of situation there, right? But Biden essentially said that it's going to be an unconditional withdrawal. So no matter which, from what I understand, unconditional means we're withdrawing no matter what you do.
right.
But by September 11th, which is kind of scammy to me that they would pick September 11th. Like it's like, okay, like you should just get out now if you're gonna get out. I understand there's planning and not leaving too much stuff behind and that sort of thing. Like I get that. But man, I don't know. Now since it's been such a successful mission, right?
Right.
After 20 years, we've obviously, we've created a multi-ethnic, diverse, thriving economy in Afghanistan, right? Like it's been, I'm sure they're gonna have those new Starbucks popping up in Kabul, and they're gonna have that Wynn Hotel and Starbucks, and I don't know if you've heard this, Jordan, but I'm pretty sure Kabul or Afghanistan is gonna be like the new Austin, Texas, right? This is supposed to be
Probably.
It's supposed to be the big new thing coming up. I don't know if that's true, but I heard it's supposed to be pretty dope. Pretty dope. So anybody out there, and I guess technically my first war probably was the Gulf War, right? When was the Gulf War? But I don't think I wasn't really.
I don't know if you were born then. Were you when that started?
Oh yeah. It was 1991.
Okay, yeah, you were. I was 11 then.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, I wasn't really paying attention at that stage, but yeah, the Gulf War was like what, 10 days or something like that. I think it was, yeah, 10, or it was 11-day war, something like that. Um, so I wouldn't really count that one in my book, my book. But dude, what are you doing?
I'm checking it. If it came back up, people were asking if it came back up, but you keep talking, so I'm making sure
I,
that people
I,
can actually see this. Sorry.
oh, because I can see it on my side.
Yeah, so can I, and but people are having a hard time getting to it, so I don't know what's going on, but we'll just keep going, see how it
Mm-hmm.
goes.
Okay. Yeah, because people can listen to it later if they have to.
Yep.
So, anyways, Afghanistan, it's crazy. We're getting out of there, huh? You
Yeah,
think
I
they're actually
guess.
going to do it this
Here's the
time?
thing: is like we were supposed to, and it looked like the statement by Trump was his plan was to be out by May 1st, and they're saying that they want to push it back to November 11th. So like do it on September 11th, like the anniversary of that. That's
September 11th. Yeah.
and he was saying like that's not a good date to do that. I would tend to agree with him, not because I want to say like, oh, I agree with Trump or anything. But I would say I was listening to a podcast this week actually about like Middle Eastern stuff by a guy who like studied it for years, and he was saying this is a people group that believes in dates and times and all that kind of stuff, and was referencing some of the shootings that happened recently that got really quiet after they released that the guy was Middle Eastern. That was that shooting that happened like a week or two ago, and
There's
and
been so many shootings, I
I
can't
know there's been
can't
there's
keep
been so
track.
many of them to think of, but he said it happened on the anniversary of like four different things that took place, and he's like, that's not an accident. At least he's like, I can't say that with like great accuracy, but I can say that that in his experience, he's like, I could speculate that's probably what's going on. And so when it comes to this, like, it's like, don't let's not do it on that date. That's a date that they probably hold like a terrorist group is like, hey, we were successful, um, and why would we
Yeah, I don't
like,
know. I think
and
it's
why
more of a
not sooner than
gimmicky
later?
thing. I
You
think
know?
it's more of a, well, I understand. Like I said, I understand if it takes time to, you don't want to leave behind a bunch of, I guess, precious items. I don't know. Um, but I think it's more of a gimmicky, kind of has a little gimmicky vibe to the U.S. more than anything.
Right.
Um, but I think the withdrawal is finally like happening, and I'm excited and I'm happy for our our resources and our troops, because I'm not sure if it was ever. It seems like there was a alternative motives there, but I'm not exactly sure. I'm sure everybody
Yeah.
talks about oil, right? That's
Right.
kind of the standard term from that, but who knows? Um, so something else that I think everybody kind of needs to be aware of this week, um, and it's kind of a big deal. We've touched on this subject actually,
Mm-hmm.
probably like 7 months ago, maybe 8 months ago, ish. Um, we talked about at one time CRISPR,
Right.
right? And we
Mm-hmm.
talked about human animal hybrids
Right.
kind of forming. Um, but it's happening again, guys, and it's kind of gone to the next level. So recently, scientists scientists have created human monkey hybrids in the embryonic stage.
Why?
Okay,
Why?
so so first of all, I mean, what could go wrong?
Seriously, what could go
It's not
wrong?
like there's been movies about
I know.
this,
Why pick
right?
monkeys? Like, it's just we've been through this, guys.
So it's kind of fascinating because monkeys are so closely related to human DNA.
Mm-hmm.
They are they are theorizing that they are going to be some of the best types of mammals to put human stem cells into the embryos and then use those embryos to grow human organs, or grow the animal with a human organ, so that way then they could use that human organ later on if they needed to, right?
Really?
So yes, it's fascinating. So they're taking it in stages basically, and what they've been doing is they've been implanting the stem cells into, they injected 25 human stem cells into embryos, taken 6 days after fertilization. And then they found that the human cells were growing inside 132 of these embryos on day 1, and they were still alive and thriving on day 10. But by day like 19 or 20 or something like that, they ended up dying. But they're finding that they're increasing the time that these embryos and these implanted stem cells are able to live. So like they're saying like, hey, it's getting better and better and better. We're continuing to grow these stem cells in these animals, and we're going to be able to use them for human organ harvest or for, I don't know, but like think about if they take it all the way to the end and there's enough human stem cells put in that monkey, bro, we're going to have a human Planet of the Apes or monkey Planet of the Apes situation.
Yeah, I don't like that. I mean, maybe it'll be okay.
It's crazy.
But I'm not a big fan. No.
It seems a little wild to me, but kind of exciting. I don't know. I mean, also, yeah, the complications of then eventually to the point you get another sentient being, right? And then you have to decide, are we murdering the sentient being for its organs to give it to this other race? That's kind of a wild thought. That's down the road, but who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Kind of crazy. Dude, did you find any crazy stuff this week?
I did. So there's a few things here. Number one, I just restarted our live stream because no one was able to see it. I think we were able to see it because we're admins, but somehow I got a message from Facebook saying, you put music on here and we shut it off. That didn't happen. So I don't know what Facebook is doing, but we're going to keep going, and we'll post this in its entirety later.
Oh, yeah. So it's still not going live.
It should be now because I just put it back up on our page. Yeah, people should see it.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, you're right.
So anyway, so I sent you a link earlier today that didn't go through, and it was in regards to these shots that were fired. I believe it was today. Did we determine that? It was an Epoch Times article, and
dude, that's so bummed. So none of them heard the monkey situation.
No, but they can go back and listen
you guys,
to it. I'm
sorry.
Post this whole video.
I'm gonna give them a little teaser.
Do the teaser. I'm gonna make
missed...
sure everyone's on here. So
okay. Guys, I'm very sorry. You just missed an entire speech I gave about the new scientific discovery of combining human stem cells with monkey embryos for the experimentation and potential harvesting of human organs from monkeys. And you'll have to listen to the podcast to hear that story.
It's freaky. It's Planet of the Apes type stuff, guys. This is the same
pretty
as
exciting.
I would say I had the same fear even when Trump was getting up and saying, we're rushing this vaccine, we're going to do it. And I'm like, whoa, has anyone else seen I Am Legend? Because it didn't work out well for Will Smith either. We shouldn't rush things like this.
Was there an alternative, what was that movie called? You just said?
I Am Legend?
No, the movie you just said with Will Smith. Yeah. Was there an alternative ending one?
Have you not seen
something
it?
about that. No.
Okay, we'll have to watch it when we're done here. It's yes. I actually like it. I think if I remember right, I'll let you know when we watch it. I'm pretty sure I liked the alternative ending a lot better than the actual movie.
Yeah?
And anyway, but did you want a brother? I don't understand the question.
I think we're alluding to maybe a monkey brother. Is that where we're going with that,
maybe.
Lisa? I wouldn't mind a monkey brother. I think that could be kind of cool. A brother would be great.
Was it Dane
climbing
Cook?
Trees?
He was like famous for like a week, and then everyone got mad at him for stealing stuff. But he used to say that he wanted a pet monkey, and he's like, everyone always tells me I don't want a pet monkey, and then they give me all the reasons, and I always tell them, yeah, those are all the reasons I want a pet monkey. Like, you don't want them. They're gonna fling poo. They're gonna attack you. They're gonna live forever. Yeah, that's all the reasons I want a pet monkey.
That's why I want it.
You're just convincing me more that I want this monkey. Anyway, so what I was saying before I got us back live and people can interact now.
Stupid Jake Paul messed up our stream.
Stupid. I didn't even play. The sound was off.
Yeah, I think it's a title.
I had it muted. Anyway, so the shots that were fired, I believe this was earlier today. Yeah, it was on April 18th. We had a shooter drive by and shoot at National Guard in Minnesota, And it was directly after Maxine Waters incited violence. She said, and it was in reference, I believe, you could go check, to the Chauvinot case that's going on right now. They've had tons of witnesses. It's going on. I haven't followed that a ton. Frankly, both sides sort of make me upset in that whole ordeal. But she said it's time that BLM and Antifa get more confrontational. And so now we have Marjorie Taylor Greene, who, love her or hate her, she's kind of kooky, but also just speaks what she wants. I'm of the mind that those are the kind of people I actually want in running the government right now, because you don't have to guess what they mean. And she is
but that's the same thing as that'd be the same thing as what Maxine would have been doing then.
Yeah, kind of, except she's like, hey, this is the way it is. Like, she just like, there's two different ways you could take that for sure.
Just sometimes be careful with what you say in the places.
Yeah, sometimes they're crazy, and sometimes it's just like, this is the truth. Like, let's address the truth. Let's be real. Let's be raw. Let's not like powder it up and make it look better. This is what's going on. And she's introducing legislation to remove Maxine Waters. And she tweeted at Nancy Pelosi and said, hey, you voted yes to impeach President Trump for asking people to march peacefully and patriotically to the Capitol. And so I'm going to expect a yes vote for you on this, because she said it's time for you to be more confrontational. And I think that's reasonable. This actually was inciting violence. She was actually asking people to go and pressure those that are trying to protect. Thoughts?
So Maxine Waters, she basically, it's a double standard, right?
Yes.
But one thing I was kind of surprised by, so the New York Post, okay, for everybody out there, the New York Post, as far as I'm aware, I don't think they're the most usually reputable. Are they usually do they have like a high
some stuff
reputation?
Honestly, I take all news with I'm gonna go look and see. And so,
but are they known to like they're not like a news organization that does alien
no,
or Bigfoot?
No, I would say
a tabloid. They're not a tabloid, right?
I would say people try to peddle them as a tabloid. Often these days, most places that look like tabloids, if you actually go and look at it, are closer to the truth than, say, CNN.
So New York Post, though, made an article saying impeach and remove Maxine Waters, specifically because of that, what she said, inciting violence, right? So it's kind of across the board. A lot of people are pushing for that, which is, I think any person in a position of leadership in that situation, I think that's, I agree. I think that's irresponsible, especially when you already have social tension that's you're not going to fix something by causing more division, right? Yeah, I agree.
The other thing that, along the lines of the shooters, it's just something that was interesting. I think I texted this to you, is this kid, the suspected FedEx shooter, that has come out now that he was part of a My Little Pony. I didn't even know this existed. There is a group of people who are My Little Pony fanatics, and they're called bronies. Did you know?
No.
This? Dead serious.
Wait, My Little Pony fanatics?
Yeah, they're like really into My Little Pony, and they're called a brony, and it's a subculture of people that like My Little Ponies. And he said on social media, I hope that I can be with Applejack. That's a main character in My Little Pony.
Oh my
Learned
God.
that today too. In the afterlife, my life has no meaning without her.
Oh my God. Hey, first of all, I want to give a shout out to somebody I just saw logged on, Chris Barth, brother. I'm excited to see you. He's a good man. I'm going to be hanging out with him soon, so I just want to give him a shout out.
Was it a Barth that was on here, or we talked about a Barth that was on here?
I don't know. Wait, today?
No, earlier with the guests, like 50 episodes ago. Didn't we talk about one of them with can't think of his name, the guy who got the whooping cough?
What?
We'll have to talk about it.
Whooping
later.
cough?
Yeah.
We had a guy on that had whooping cough?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at the old studio, but I can't think of his name. Anyway.
Oh, I don't think so. I don't know, maybe. But
Amador says dementia is a horrible disease. I believe that Maxine Waters suffers from it. I've seen.
Well,
some clips.
I agree with.
I have seen clips that are very convincing.
How old is Maxine Waters? Maxine, I'll Jamie it. I'll young Jamie it. Let me see. Maxine Waters she is 82 years young. Okay, so here's something that we've all kind of had a discussion about, and we've all thought about. I mean, man, there's got to be age limits in Congress and
Or cognitive
legislation.
tests to be in there.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
I mean,
arrange these
cognitive
numbers in
tests.
order. Even
Yeah,
that easy.
I
Some of
think
these.
I think I think 80, anything above 80, you're just you're limiting your potential
Here's what I will
to
say. I have met some 80-year-olds that could run the country very well. So it is
yeah.
kind of a mixed bag. So I don't want to just like cut off, but I'm not against like I think everyone should be cognitively tested if they're gonna go run the country anyway. But like like can we
Yeah.
test people to go fly jets and stuff. Like, are you up for the task? We test our soldiers. Like, can you like actually physically do this? Because if you can't,
Well, and I think across all three tiers of you know legislation or whatever, like or congressional,
I I think
Supreme
one thing would
Court,
solve this.
presidential.
One thing would solve this. And we wouldn't have to talk about age or tests or anything, because
Ooh,
it would
yeah.
solve itself in a few years, and that would be term limits.
Stem cells. Oh.
No term limits. Like, say
Um.
someone got voted in 80, we'd only deal with them for a few years. Maybe they're nuts, but
Yeah, but
they'd be
even then,
out.
that's not
Like,
good.
no, I'm not
I don't
saying
want to be
I'm
stuck
not
with
saying
somebody
I'm
for
not
that
saying
long and
it's
then
good. I'm just
being.
saying if you don't want to talk about the tests and all that kind of stuff, put term limits on people. Like, then they can't be in there that long. If they are, it's only for a certain amount of
Well,
time, and
so
it's
there's term limits.
unfortunate.
So we have that for presidential, but we
Hmm.
don't have it for congressional, and we
Right.
don't have it for judiciary, which
Be
I think
careful, Trump is getting up. Well, that's why I'm saying, like, I don't.
he should have the test too.
I think he should, but if you're not going to test, at least term limit people. And I say term limit Supreme Court justices too.
Yeah.
Why not? Why for
Well,
life?
yeah, Supreme. That's a very interesting topic. I listened to a really interesting podcast about why. Do you know why they started term limits for judicial?
No, well, no. But I would say I would also argue I don't. I I'm not. I'm not really a big fan of having the Supreme Court. So
Term. Um. No, I think a three-party checks and balances is important. I think if you have just two, then you end up in stalemates way too often.
maybe.
Yeah. Um. So the
And
the
to this whole Trump comment, by the way,
uh,
I think what would be amazing. Number one, if I had to bet right now, if Trump lives long enough, he's going to run again. But I think what would be amazing is if he said, you know what, I'm just going to nominate DeSantis from Florida.
ooh, you think he'd go with DeSantis, huh?
I hope he would.
Okay. Here's what I think is gonna happen.
That's okay.
2024.
Hang on.
Is that right?
So we don't change subjects quite yet. Gary has
Mm-hmm.
a really good point. And
Mm-hmm.
this is a good discussion. He said, I'm sorry, but when you term limit the staff become more powerful. That's not a bad argument.
Let's work through that. Let me.
What if you
When you
term
term
staff?
when
Like,
you term
everyone
limit
has
the
a max amount
staff, right? Because I guess it depends on the situation. So like usually with a presidential candidate, they bring in their own cabinet, right? So they
sometimes.
usually will bring a majority of their cabinet in. Sometimes there's people that get left in the the group that get carried over, but
So
for the most part, it seems like they
I
get
guess my question before you
replaced.
start doing your math on how old he would be in 2024, I would ask Gary,
Well, that's not
in
what I was
in
going to
like
do.
a short sentence, what would be your solution then besides term limits that would keep people like this from staying in there for life? Like, we have Joe Biden. He's literally done nothing except for just like worked in the country, like and I don't think that's I have friends who have flat out told me I think there are politicians and there are people who are normal citizens, and I want politicians to be serving in there. And I said, my response was, if we're a country of the people, by the people, and for the people, I'm against lifelong politicians.
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Leading to that, two very interesting political candidates coming up here.
Okay.
On a state level, fascinating, Matthew McConaughey pretty confident that dude's gonna run
I hope
for
he does.
Texas
He has some
governor.
cool ideas.
Okay,
I would
I
say
like
he's like a libertarian Republican.
I like Matt. I like
He's
Matt.
very level-headed.
Um, but I think a candidate that's going to run, and there's been a lot of undercurrent for it, and there's been polling. He's talking about it. Dwayne Johnson. He's going to run for president, man. I'm calling it now. I think Dwayne Johnson's going to run on the Democratic Party for president.
Maybe.
Is it 2024? Is it 2024?
If he
I can't remember. If it's
does,
2024. I think he's
really
going to run
hope
against
he has to
Kamala.
get tested and admit that he did steroids because there's no way
Oh, no,
someone
no.
looks like that.
No. He admits that he does it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good. That's
No,
it's
yeah.
already
He's very,
settled.
he's very. Yeah.
And here's
He's
the thing:
very
if
open
giant
that he's
monkeys
done
take over,
CRT.
he's already proven in a movie that he can
Yeah.
solve it.
Yes. Also, if we have a San Andreas fault line disaster,
Or
he can handle that.
or a super tall building that a rich person is going to like get broken into. He can solve it with one leg.
Yep. Or more importantly, if the world develops a scientifically challenging board game and somehow it sucks people into an alternate universe, he is able to defeat any challenges within that board game and save the world from devastation and unite all people
just
within our nation.
an intense look. I would say here's the problem, and this is going to sound
Wait, Amador apparently doesn't think he can act well.
at the well.
Um,
That's up for debate.
I think he's would you say synonymous with Leonardo DiCaprio? I don't know.
I'm going to say this right now because I'm going to sound racist, and I'm not.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
what someone racist says.
Yeah, no, totally, and that's what someone would say when they're just trying to accuse someone of being racist. But I would say the little movie I watched recently, again for like the billionth time, which is Idiocracy.
Jumanji.
And if
Oh,
you
yeah.
remember the president in that, it was someone who's very similar physique to him, also skin color, but that has nothing to do with it. But they look really similar because of their muscles, and that is Terry Crews.
Terry Crews. TC,
And-
baby. I actually really like Terry Crews.
I really do too. Actually, if you want to read something really good, I have a giant book that's he wrote some stuff in like life mantras that he goes by. His was probably one of the most inspiring. Like
Oh, that's cool.
in that book.
So Amador made an interesting comment pertaining to The Rock ruining Fast and Furious movies for him. I think anytime a movie, but he'd vote for him. I love it. Anytime a movie decides to make more than a trilogy outside of Harry Potter, I have not seen very many movies successfully pull that off. Can you think of any movies outside of Harry Potter that's been more than a trilogy? And Star Wars, granted.
Matrix?
Harry Potter and Star Wars. We'll see.
No,
We don't know.
No, we
don't know what
we already
Matrix 4
know.
is going to be.
Matrix 1 was good.
And John Wick. John Wick will be great. John
That's
Wick 4.
true.
Jono is going to love it.
Jono is not going to agree with us on that. Let's see. Land Before Time. We're up to like what 14.
Land Before Time. Oh, I have not thought about Land Before Time in like forever.
Littlefoot was good in the first one. It just gets weird after that, guys. The dinosaurs died. I know
Littlefoot,
you don't want to admit it,
yes.
but all those characters eventually have to die. That's
Okay,
just the way
how
it is.
many? How many Land Before Times were there?
Oh, there's
were there actually
there's
that
over
many?
9. Yeah, you can
Were there
Jamie it
really?
real quick while I read this comment
No,
from Gary.
I'll Jamie it.
He said,
I'll Jamie
"Remember,
it.
we the people keep voting for the wrong people. Do you believe term limiting Maxine?
Land Before Time movies.
Don't you believe her district will just elect another person like her?" That's a good point, but I would say that also sometimes, even if they vote the wrong person in again, sometimes people just keep getting given to by companies that they just keep doing deals for. So some of these people are literally just working with NGOs to get kickbacks, and that's how we get people like Joe Biden. I mean, there's no reason he should have as much money as he has if he's been doing these jobs for his whole life.
Okay. So how many did you say there was? You thought there was 9 Land Before Time movies?
At least.
Yeah, there's a solid 14. There's a
So-
solid
yeah.
14 Land Before Time movies with a 15th movie I believe it's in production. It's upcoming.
Guys, that's a
15th
TV show, not a movie. I think
not gonna
I
lie.
got them mixed up.
I loved Littlefoot, man. Like that movie That show changed things for me.
Gary has a good point. I had this conversation tonight with someone until the silent people step up and start getting out and help elect the right people. I said tonight to someone, I'm sick and tired of people being afraid to talk about their beliefs.
Okay,
I'm done with it.
here's a good question for you. If you're sick and tired of people being afraid to say their beliefs,
Mhm.
then do you feel like you are a safe and level-headed person? And I'm not, whatever. Like, do you feel like you're a welcoming person to someone coming with opposing concepts or ideas to the point where they feel like they could oppose your concepts?
I think it would depend on how they approached me. Like,
Mhm.
but I would say that probably anyone would have that. If someone came to me and was like, "I just want to have a logical conversation about this," I've literally had that conversation with people before, and talked to them about it, and we honestly didn't end up agreeing about anything, but we were fine, and we both agreed that we learned something from it.
I think pushing the message that that is as equally important as people standing up
Yeah,
to to not be silent, because I don't think you can successfully have one without the other.
yeah,
Like, I don't think, unless people are in an environment where they know that their job won't be penalized based on their political views, or their friendships, or their, I mean, and sometimes you have to sacrifice because there's not going to be a perfect scenario for all to discuss their opinions. But I think on both extremes, I don't think there's been a healthy atmosphere for discussion.
yeah. I would on both extremes. I would for certain say. I would say right now that a lot of people who are just even like barely left are like, if you're over there, you're the enemy and you're wrong, and you clearly have no views that are healthy for anything that we're doing. To the point where, we have the FBI still just looking for people who are in DC on the 6th, and literally there's cities burning right now and people shooting National Guard, and they're catching and releasing those people.
Yeah, Amador made a really good point about cancel culture. It is really hard. Um, if someone doesn't agree with whatever it takes,
Yeah.
and does this, whatever it takes to ruin people. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, cancel culture is challenging for sure. And a lot of people will admit that. I think what's interesting is I see more people almost aligning with the term of cancel culture, like saying, like, I'm a part of cancel culture.
Like they
Like,
got
it's not
canceled
necessarily,
or
or or that they don't associate it necessarily with a derogatory term anymore. Does that make sense what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like, some people are really actually seeing it as a positive because then they're part of that group.
Yeah, so Gary said the left is making all the rest of us unwilling or afraid of voicing our opinion. They come out after you, and no one is willing to stand up with you. That's what I was saying. In my point was, if one person stands up, they typically won't have another person stand up with them. I think it's time that everyone stands up and just says, "This is my opinion. Take it or leave it." And when people make the argument like, "Well, if you're a Republican," because this is what people are saying. Like, if you're a Republican or you vote Republican, then you're a racist bigot and you hate homosexuals. Like, that's what a lot of people think and are even just saying. It's like, really? Because there's a lot of people I've met who are racist bigots and don't like homosexuals that are not Republicans too. And you shouldn't probably associate with those types of people at all. But just because someone is politically aligned in a certain way and you've been told that that's the way that those people think, that's not true. Like, it's the same message as people saying, well, if you're white, you're racist. Like, really? That just because you unwillingly came out a certain color when you were born, that's how you are? Like, that seems a little odd.
Um, I do agree with Gary as far as, like, there is a
Because you aren't.
you aren't Mexican, yeah. Um, so I do agree with Gary, though. I totally can see, um, and it's
Mm-hmm.
commonplace that um, the cancel culture typically is more of stereotypical on the left leaning side. As far as pertaining to cancel culture with media,
Mm-hmm.
social media, and with Hollywood, and certain things. But some of that cancel culture isn't necessarily in response to not liking an individual, but has a root of they're doing it out of wanting to protect somewhere a vulnerable population or a vulnerable subgroup that they feel have been taken advantage of or are being persecuted themselves. So that doesn't mean it's right necessarily the way that they're going about it, but I do think that um, if an individual group is trying to point out that there's someone that is suffering and there is a need in a minority,
Mm-hmm.
that that doesn't negate the fact that we should still try to help and or be open to listening to where is that anger coming from, like with my kid, with my son, when he's freaking out and or if he's yelling or having a meltdown.
It's happened a
Like,
lot
I
less
agree,
recently. It's good.
it happens a lot less. Like, he is such a good big boy. I'm so proud of him. Um, but like when he was having his fussy fits, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I agree, his fussy fit is not a good thing to have, right? And the way he's handling the situation is not healthy in any way, and it causes more frustration and makes me want to backlash and go. But there's still a root cause for that issue, I think. And so being able to have some degree of empathy for that frustration he's having, and trying to figure out what the root cause of that issue is, rather than just trying to be frustrated with him that he's having a fussy fit. I think that is a good thing for both sides of the spectrum to be trying to figure out, well, is there a root issue here that we can try to talk through and work through?
Well, I think that kind of
And that will help
highlights
a lot.
something that I've said before, and I fully believe this is like people that are for cancel culture and are freaking out like that don't know how to have confrontation. They don't know how to have a discussion. They don't know that that's
Mhm.
healthy. They don't know that that's good, and it's easier
Yeah.
to just write it off. And I would say, if that's you and you truly believe what you believe, you need to actually have confrontation and talk to people on other sides. Because if you don't, I call BS. I don't think you actually believe what you believe. Because if it can't hold up to opposition, then I don't think you believe it or hold to it as strongly as you can. Because if you know, it's only going to become stronger if it's true, and if it's not, and your real fear is finding out that you're wrong, you should be fearful that you wouldn't find out you're wrong if you are. I mean, let's be real. Like,
So one thing I wanted to throw out there for anybody, that if you guys have been looking for like a decent bipartisan, very extremely level-headed news platform or media platform,
oh, this is gonna be
um,
good.
some something that I really no, like I genuinely really appreciate these two
Okay.
people. It's called, so I'm sure you've heard. Have you heard of the Hill?
Yeah.
The news
Yeah.
outlet. So the outlet is called the Hill. So that's like the conglomerate. But then the series or the show is called Rising with Crystal and Cigar.
Mm-hmm.
And Cigar is a conservative Republican journalist, and Crystal is a liberal Democratic journalist, and they're on the show together where they host the show, and then they talk about all of the world's political situations, U.S. geopolitical current events, and they give a really level-headed approach and kind of back and forth
Mm-hmm.
commentary, that I have so desperately wanted to find a platform where there's people that have a approach to seeing both sides of a situation, and they really do a good job of complimenting. They've actually been on Joe Rogan Experience a couple times.
Cool.
um, but it's a really, if you, anybody out there, I've heard several people being like, man, there's nothing out there that's worth even listening to because it's just so polarized. These guys do a really good job of breaking stuff down. So anybody out there that's curious in that, Rising with Crystal and
I would
Cigar,
say too.
it's good
Sometimes,
stuff on
sometimes
YouTube. You can
listening to
find it
things and then
easy.
actually going and doing your own research. DY,
Oh yeah.
DYOR, and actually see what things. Do your own research. That's what it stands for.
No, I know, but I was thinking about DIY,
No.
or for some reason DIY.
No,
DIY.
it's here's the thing. Like in the IT profession and like tinkering and things that I do, there's
Do it
there's
yourself.
so many forums about things, and there's people that have opinions that are very strong about the dumbest things. And so I've learned really
So,
like it's good sometimes to read what they say because then I don't believe it. Like I'm like, "Oh, that guy's very passionate about that 3D printer and like that it's supposed to do it this certain way or whatever." And it's like, I know that's not true, but he's very upset about something very trivial. And but you can read then other people's responses and see like, "Oh, if I take in all this information, I don't have to listen to this weirdo that is very passionate about his whatever in programming." And then all these other people have like a right answer. It's like sometimes you have to weed through the chaos in order to find like the truth kind of percolating through. And that's where like cancel
ooh, I
cuz
like that word,
cuz
percolate.
cancel culture
Word.
gets rid of that. If you truly don't believe what I'm saying is true or someone else says is true or whatever, if you get rid of that, then what really is like
Well, but that's the hard part too, though, Jordan. Is the opposite extreme is that cancel culture tells you not to listen to what other people are
it,
saying,
but it also says
right?
block, and it came about when we got smartphones and kids
Right.
will block each other, and it's like, well, I just block them. I don't want to hear them. It's like you can't just stick your head in the sand and expect it to do that. Like,
Right, but that's also where it's important to like the opposite of cancel culture is being willing to listen to
yeah,
what other people are
no, yeah,
trying to
that's exactly what
communicate.
I'm saying. Is like it's important to have that information out there because when you see it so polarized next to you, it's like what do they teach you? They when you look at like counterfeit currency, the first thing that they teach people is exactly what like a real dollar bill goes, so you can like look at the fake ones because you're not gonna get rid of the fake ones. So you learn all about what they look like so that you can like identify them and compare them. But if you couldn't ever compare them,
Right.
like yeah.
Right.
So
Real, real quick though, I wanted to circle back
uh
here
oh,
before we get too
kid
far.
Jinsaki.
Um, and I wanted
Let's circle
to
back to not circle back to ever circle back to
it's
ever
not
come back to what I said.
it's not that crazy of a circle, but
No, if it
so
actually
real quick,
circles back to something, you have done something she has never done.
was there more about the bronies that we didn't
No,
touch on?
it
Okay,
literally
because I was
just
just wondering, like,
it's just weird. Like
is there a brony like attack group going around right now
no,
that I don't know
what
about?
people were saying is like
How did that tie into the
he
shooting
clearly is like he just was like highlighting some of the mental instability that was going on in his posts.
of My Little
Well,
Ponies?
of being in that subculture that's like it's pretty extreme. Okay,
The
so
degree they're
here's where my
fascinated
brain
with
went.
it.
I used to work with a guy.
Was he a furry?
No,
Uh,
but he was a little bit nutty, a little
okay.
bit kooky. I wouldn't feel
Okay.
safe driving in a car with this guy. He wasn't stable,
Really
but
interesting.
I would never tell him like you can't like live in society or something. But he clearly had some issues, and he didn't have an easy life, and it's fine. Like I was still friends with him. I tried to be as nice as I could. But he was very, 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 very into My Little Pony. And so like that's my only reference. And I've known a couple people. When you're a nerd, there's some weirdos that you kind of sometimes see around, and it's becoming less and less common that people who are in IT are that eccentric and like kind of like nerd subculture, like expectancy of that kind of stuff. But this guy definitely unstable and definitely would have been a brony. I mean, he might be now. I don't know. As far as I know, he's still out there, and fine. But he wasn't a stable person, and he was very into My Little Pony, and he was an adult, and it was kind of weird. Like his obsession with My Little Pony was super weird, and he knew all their names, he knew all the episodes. Like it was very strange. So anyway, that was my first thought was, and honestly, the picture of this guy kind of reminded me of that guy too. So I was like, whoa, is this
Oh,
like
really?
a thing? Like this is a
Oh,
like
crazy.
the bronies have a type like that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Well, Amador was making a comment saying that there was some people, or there was a guy a few years back that was responsible for killing people in California or police or something like that, and they thought he might been a brony too.
Well,
Um,
I've
but
often
yeah,
wondered. There's some people that get this obsession with like certain things like that. Not that if you like My Little Pony, I don't care. Like it's fine. But like certain obsessions with certain things like that, like it. There's just something off sometimes. Like I wouldn't.
okay. I think it's a couple things. Let me do a little
Yeah, do it.
psychoanalysis here. I think A, there's a
this conversation.
there's certainly a possibility. There's certainly a possibility that like furries or My Little Pony individuals, or even like some of the people in Comic-Con, right?
Yeah.
Like some of their exceptions with children's, in particular with children's.
Yep.
These are children's
shows.
children's shows, right? That are geared towards toddlers.
Yeah. My Little Pony's not
so
for adults.
I would not be surprised if there is some
Psychological
childhood trauma, right? Where they find comfort in that show or that scenario, right? And then that carries on into adulthood, right? And then that just becomes part of their life. But I think the other thing is that a lot of these people that find comfort in that also find comfort in a group, right? They find comfort in having.
Unfortunately, it's with another group of people who aren't as stable either sometimes.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah,
and so if you have a group, they want to find friendship, they want to find community, and this is the place they found it. And when you have, like you said, a large group of people that have a lot of childhood trauma, perhaps, that leads to instability.
Katie,
Perhaps,
you
right?
did join it in an interesting time. We are talking about people who are called bronies, who are very into My Little Pony, and it is the supposed shooter for this FedEx shooting that happened was a brony and really likes My Little Ponies. So I think your analysis there of like being stuck on kids things like is. So it's like one thing to be like a My Little Pony fan. Like there's people that work with that have like Scooby-Doo figurines or whatever. It's just like a childhood thing, but they don't sit around obsessing about Scooby-Doo. But sometimes when these people get stuck in some of these groups, that is their obsession. And like the comment that we read earlier, like he hopes that in the afterlife he can be with Applejack, which is apparently one of the My Little Pony's names. And that if he can't, his life means nothing. That's a statement that maybe he's being. I'll give him the benefit. Maybe he's just joking. Maybe he's being, because I've said things that maybe could come across crazy like that too, and I don't mean them in their entirety or seriousness like that. But he does seem unstable, and I would say, I like your analysis.
A bunch of
being
unstable
stuck on,
people.
Yeah, when they group up, like
hang out with other unstable people. Yeah. Right, and that's where you end up with Dungeons and Dragon people. No, I'm just kidding. That's where you end up.
So there's people who play Dungeons and Dragons, and there's people who only play Dungeons and Dragons.
I'm just kidding. I have nothing against.
But you know what I mean?
Dragons,
like
guys.
I
think
goes
fantasy games.
You say that
are
about
fun.
anything though. Like there's people that are into something,
exactly.
and then there's people who only do that, and that is all they're fixated on.
But I think there's a correlation. It doesn't necessarily mean causation, but I think there's a correlation when it's specifically
kids thing.
Childhood obsession or child activities.
Your eyes, man.
My eyeballs went crazy.
Dude,
sorry.
I think. Are you a brony?
My eyeballs are burning right now because I have this
this
ocular rosacea issue, and so if I move them, it like helps scratch the itch.
Cool. I'll do it too, so you don't feel bad.
All right,
thanks. See how I did that?
Like it feels like I have like when you go to a campfire, right, and the smoke hits your eyes. It feels like the smoke hits my eyes, so I have to scratch them.
I'm sorry.
Even if there's no smoke. Thanks, bro. Well, that's most of the big things I wanted to hit up. You got anything else? You want to go from TILs?
I'm good. I didn't think that would be the topic that we stuck on a lot, but hey, I guess we never know what it's gonna be. And I would add to this. I feel bad. I feel bad for this guy. Like if that's truly, even though he did or he's allegedly did this, if that's the case, if he has some issues in his past and all that, it doesn't excuse what he chose to do if he did it. But I do feel bad for him. Like I feel bad for people in that situation, and I saw this video the other day. I don't know if you saw it, but this guy that was on the stand, I believe it was testifying to the lady who accidentally killed his brother, and they were on trial, and he basically told her like, I want you to know that I forgive you, and he was sharing his faith with her. And saying like, I don't hold this, basically saying I don't hold this against you. I don't have any bitterness towards you. And then turned to the judge and said, "Can I give her a hug?" Like in the court.
Oh,
and like,
whoa!
And there's like the judge is silent for like this awkward amount of time, and finally goes, "Yes," and he did, and it was like, oh my gosh, Like
That's
it
cool.
doesn't like excuse, it doesn't change any, doesn't change the death, it doesn't whatever, but he chose to give grace and forgiveness in this time of like craziness. And I
That's empathy. Yeah.
but I mean he
Yeah,
forgave
that's
and he
awesome.
understood like I don't he was crying like the whole thing like I don't want I don't he didn't want it on him just as much as he didn't want it on her. Um
That's cool.
it was
That's awesome. I love it.
a touching moment.
Well, changing gears, guys. TILs. I know you've been waiting all week for the today I
The
learned. So
TILs.
I'm gonna start us off. And
Go.
for you guys out there that don't know, we have a new puppy in our house, and
It
occasionally
was
there's a bark.
your choice, right?
Right?
Like you
Yeah, totally my
yeah.
choice. But anyhow, so today I learned that there's a specific breed of dog called Basenji, or Basenji. I think that's how you say it, Basenji, and they are specifically bred so they cannot bark.
Why didn't you get one of
They do
those?
not. They're a breed that
I
don't
want
bark.
that.
Not interesting? That'd be kind of nice.
Yeah, but then how do they? Yeah. Then you got to wonder, like, what other
Yeah.
problems is that dog gonna come with?
I
You know, like they
don't
breed
know.
dogs for certain things, and all of a sudden it's like, well, yeah, but also they're really prone to cancer and tumors of the eyeballs or something like that.
Right.
Like you,
Right.
the dog that lives the longest is the one that you never expect to. That just like came out of a dumpster, and was like it's
Yeah.
like 15 different breeds,
Well,
or not
that
even
makes sense though.
close.
That makes
It's like
sense.
half.
Genetic
It's like
diversity.
half
Genetic
cat
diversity.
or something like that,
Yeah.
and it just lives for
Well,
25
that's like
years.
think about like royals, royalty. They inbred, and so that caused,
Yeah,
the more diverse your genetic material is, the more robust you are.
yeah. Okay, today I learned that Facebook conducted a study where they intentionally manipulated almost 700,000 users' emotions without their knowledge or permission.
Hmm. Yeah, that was like 8 years or 10 years ago,
Yeah, I
but
remember
they're still
hearing
doing
about
it.
it. I'm
I'm
sure
pretty
they
sure.
still are.
Yeah, I'm sure they're still doing it, which is, and actually, yeah, with that specific one, they were doing it trying to elicit people to get mad. So they were showing them articles. They were showing them articles that like would go like,
So,
if it was like,
Facebook started cancel
like
culture. That's what happened.
if you're yeah, if you're pro Biden, they would show you things that would be conservative people
Oh
making
my
comments
gosh.
against Biden. Yeah.
Goodness sakes.
Okay. So today I learned that Spanish scientists have developed 3D bioprinters,
Ooh.
which can print sheets of functional human skin for use in research or even in transplants. Oh, Master Chief.
I 3D printed
Love
that
it.
today. Um,
That's dope.
yeah, so 3D printers, I think I mentioned I've been messing around with that. I literally had a
Hmm.
part I could not find anywhere for my vacuum or my wife's vacuum or whoever's like just this vacuum that my sister gave us.
Oh, nice.
And it's you can tell like see the black line right there? The belt burned this gear off. And she took it in and paid an obscene amount of money to have them fix it and it still came back broken because they can't find this you
Oh
can't
no.
find this part anywhere. I looked everywhere. So I made one in CAD and put it in the vacuum and it now works.
Nice. Strong work, bro. What type of vacuum is it?
It starts with an M and it's very expensive. Millie,
Oh,
Miley,
oh
I don't know.
no. Miley? I think it's Miley Cyrus.
Miley
I
Cyrus.
think.
Yeah, it's a Miley Cyrus brand
Um,
vacuum. Anyway,
all right, hit me.
okay.
TIL.
Taylor, according to a survey, 43% of American cardiologists are overweight to obese.
Wait, 43%?
I actually thought it would be higher,
What's Yeah, I was gonna say I'm surprised it's only 43 because what's the national
but it's
average of obesity?
cardiologists specifically.
Right,
If it was
right.
doctors, that number would be like 85.
Oh, I'm sure.
I've only met
Well,
like two
I'm
fit doctors in my life, and I've seen a lot of doctors.
what is the national average of obesity
It's
percentage?
way high. I think that's
Yeah.
honestly why the U.S. had such a weird response to like the
Yeah.
COVID pandemic.
Yeah. Obesity was one of the biggest, and that's what's crazy. Like they did not talk about the need to like health benefits of certain diet
Yeah,
lifestyle changes.
I have my
It's crazy.
guesses as to why. It was mostly probably because doctors can't even say that. You can't tell someone like, "Hey, guess what? You're fat, and that's why you're having these joint problems." I wish that
Yeah, that's
I wish somebody could just
tough
come in
subject.
that wasn't a doctor that just could be the honest translator.
Wait. That's a Key and Peele. That's a Key and Peele episode. Or have you seen the
No.
Key and Peele with like Obama's translator?
No.
Obama's translator.
Oh no.
Oh, it's
But imagine
so
that. Like
funny.
if I was just like the counterpart to a doctor, I'm not educated at all, and that I could just sit down next to the doctor and be like, "So looks like the problem is here that your knees are bad," and then they could turn to me and I would say, "It's because you're 3,000 pounds overweight," and
I've
like,
I've mentioned it. So
and then they
I've
can't
had
blame the
situations
doctor.
where I've
They'd be
had
like, "Well, the
Yeah.
translator was awful." I'm like, doesn't
Amador
matter.
said,
I'm not a doctor.
Amador said, yeah, well, my doctor did, that jerk. And he said, I got a new doctor.
Can I get a second opinion? Like,
All right, my next TIL. Today I learned, this is actually fascinating. Speaking about eating, today I learned spiders eat up to 800 million tons of prey each year, nearly twice the
spiders?
amount. Yes. Nearly twice the amount by weight of meat humans consume each year. So spiders eat twice the amount of prey than humans do of meat
what?
every year.
Well, there's so many more spiders. They've got the.
Yeah, but think about how
They've
many
got,
bugs.
they've
That's
got
like
like
amazing.
8 legs up on us.
That's amazing, dude. Yeah. But they really help us get rid of bugs,
Sure.
man. Props to spiders.
Yeah, and then we eat them in our sleep. Go us. Today I learned.
Mhm.
I'm gonna butcher this name. Dina Sanikar is the true inspiration behind the Jungle Book, found by some hunters in a cave in Bulandshahr. There's a lot of consonants. India. Dina was a feral child raised by wolves, forced to live in human society for 20 years. He couldn't learn how to walk or talk, but got addicted to smoking and died of tuberculosis.
What?
Yeah. So I have a picture of him. Okay. This is a picture of him.
Whoa.
Okay. He never learned to walk. He came in as a kid.
Wait, why couldn't he walk?
He was raised by wolves, so he walked on all fours, and he never
okay.
walked upright.
What?
And he died of smoking too much,
Oh my
and
God.
never spoke.
Amazing. That's amazing TIL. That's the best one, dude. Love it. That's wild. All right, shower thoughts.
Do it.
Okay. Actually, you go first because I only have
Okay.
4.
Already, rich people seem to get lots of things for free, while people who aren't rich or are poor and are in actual need don't. I thought
Yeah.
about that. And I was like, that's true.
Unless, except for the stimulus package lately.
That's true, but I would say a lot of those people that need things, I would say, are different than the group of people that have but want more, and those are the group of people that are being targeted. And when those rich, famous people show it, they all buy it. So
Yeah.
if I just
Also, side note, does my neck look red?
yeah,
Can you tell?
does mine?
I can't see it. I think we both got
We did.
burnt.
My
for
head's
sure.
burned too, and it sucks. I feel like crap.
Yeah, I feel like throwing up, but I'm hungry.
Yes.
We spend a lot of time in the sun lately,
Yeah,
guys. So
too
we.
much.
Okay, my shower thought. One of the greatest luxuries in life is the ability to sleep in without setting an alarm.
It's true.
I love it when I can do
I
that.
did that
It's amazing.
2 days in a row now, and it was fantastic. The first day I got woke up by a dog, but it was the first time that he didn't come and just step on my face. He was annoyed at the rest of the people in the house that were awake and came in and like got into the blanket and went all the way down by my feet and passed out, and I fell asleep again, and we slept for like another hour.
That's awesome.
And I woke up
Good
and
dog.
he wasn't ready to wake up. He's like, wait,
That's
are we getting
funny.
up now? I don't want to get up. Is there someone else who's sleeping?
All right.
All right. A lot of people want kids, but don't want to be parents.
Very true. Very true. Okay. In the near future, automatic or manual will refer to a car's steering and not its transmission.
Super true.
Right? Thank you, Tesla.
Listen to this. Speaking of, I don't know, we didn't get to the article, but there was a Tesla car that like burned up with no driver in it and killed 2 people this week. Terrifying.
Whoa. Oh my God.
Batteries, speaking of, are prepaid electricity.
Love it. Yes, they are. Exactly. On the note of electricity, the Amish claim to use no electricity, and yet they use their brain to come up with that rule,
Which
which
has
uses
electrons.
electricity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of different.
Not really. It's still electricity.
I had a friend that lived by
Hashtag
an
hashtag
Amish.
EEG.
They lived by an Amish community, and the kids would sneak out to the barn to play Halo.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Short is used for both vertical and horizontal scale, but long and tall are only used for one.
Yeah, that's true. I like that. That's good. Okay, this is my last shower thought. We really take for granted how much our tongue by itself doesn't get bitten more often. It's amazing how often, like, or how infrequent it is that we
It
don't
is
bite
true.
our tongue.
I've thought about that.
Right?
And then I've thought when I do bite it, I'm like, I've had 40 years of practice, and I just really screwed that up.
Right, but every single time you chomp down,
It's
there's
amazing
potential
because
for
it
that
doesn't.
thing
It just
to
like it pushes things, and it gets out of the way at
Yeah.
the right time.
It's amazing.
It's
impressive.
I haven't bit my
it's a
tongue
cool
in a long
muscle.
time, and now I'm afraid that I'm going to. Okay,
It's gonna happen.
this is a good one. Yeah, pay attention, because I had to
Okay.
read this like 4 times, but it works. The age-old question: would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck? Is an easy question. According to the square cube law, the horse-sized duck would have its legs broken from the immense weight.
Oh yeah. Right.
So solved. Now they just
That's
got to solve
interesting.
chicken or egg.
Yeah. So the squared Q law states when an object undergoes a proportional increase in size, its new surface area is proportional to the square of the multiplier, and its new volume is proportional to the cube of the multiplier. So clear as mud, right?
Mhm.
Basically,
The duck would break its own legs.
yeah.
It's just, I mean, that's pretty, yeah. Don't
Yeah,
make a duck
that's
bigger.
interesting.
He'll be in pain. That's what we've learned from that. And on that note,
That's interesting. Because why would that not happen if a dog is twice the size of another dog? Why wouldn't that same? I guess unless you're not changing the density. I guess in that situation, that case scenario, they're not changing the density
Right.
of the duck's bones. Okay.
my dad always got really mad about the Honey I Shrunk the Kids thing, because if you shrunk down like the size, the kids would still weigh the same.
Yeah. Well, if their molecules became more
Right.
dense, I guess.
That's the
Yeah.
only way you could shrink something down that was already big.
Unless it's losing mass, it's losing
Yeah, but then you
matter
kill them.
somehow. You're changing matter then, I
Yeah.
guess, right? I don't know. That's a crazy one. Any more shower thoughts? Or
No,
you
I'm
good?
good. That's it for me.
All right, guys.
Oops,
Thank you
bad
so much
Tesla.
for your comments.
Yeah, sorry
Bad
we were
Tesla.
up and down. Facebook apparently thought we were breaking some rules, but we didn't play any music.
Oh, Facebook.
Those dogs are meant to be that big, but imagine a Chihuahua the size of a Mastiff. That's a decent point. That's a decent point.
Yeah. That'd be very
The
annoying,
duck.
Mastiff.
So that makes sense. The duck is different than the horse. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, the densities. Yeah.
Yep. Good
Structure.
one. Good one, Amador.
All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you all. We hope you have a fantastic week. Stay cool. Word on the street, it's supposed to rain in the next week.
Hopefully
which is kind
the farmers are asking for it. I'll tell you that, because goodness sakes.
of cray-cray.
I mean, who's had to water in like April? Like irrigate. That's weird.
Right.
Well, around here in Oregon, I guess some places that's normal.
It's weird for
but
Oregon.
Yeah.
But
Anyway.
guys, take care of yourselves. Watch out for crazy people.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
Watch out for bronies.
Watch out for bronies. Maybe become a brony.
No,
you know,
don't. No.
bring-
Well,
influence-
maybe,
influence them.
You could go help.
be the light. Be the light.
Be the
in
Applejack
bronies.
to their
Yes.
Skittle butt or something like that.
Skittle butt.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, guys. Well, we'll talk to you later.
All right.
Peace out.
Episode 98 in the bag.
See you
See
later.
you guys.
98. Bet.